So there's a story in the Bible that I was reading recently that I thought was pretty interesting. You might be familiar with it. It's about Elijah. And if you know anything about Elijah, he's a prophet and he's living in a time where there weren't many people following the Lord at all. He felt very lonely. He felt very scared. He'd just done a major miracle and he's being chased down for his life. He's about to be killed for his faith and for his zeal and for what he's doing for God. So he goes and he hides in this cave, and we pick it up in 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 9 is a good place to start. And he's at the cave, and it says he says, "Then he came there to a cave, and he lodged there, and behold, the word of the Lord came to him. And he said to him, 'What are you doing here, Elijah?' And Elijah says, 'I've been very zealous for the Lord, the God of hosts. For the sons of Israel have forsaken your covenant. They've torn down your altars. They've killed your prophets with the sword. And I alone am left. And they seek my life.'" You can see right now he's very afraid. "They seek it to take it away." He's very lonely as well. "I alone am left." And so God says, he responds, he says, "Go forth, stand on the mountain before the Lord." And behold, the Lord came, and he was passing by. And it says a great strong wind was rending the mountains and breaking in pieces the rock before the Lord. There was a huge earthquake. But the Lord wasn't in the wind. After the wind, an earthquake. And the Lord wasn't in the earthquake. And after the earthquake was a fire. We would expect God to be in the wind and the fire and the earthquake and one of these things, but the Lord was not in the fire. But after the fire, there's the sound of a gentle wind blowing. And when Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in his mantle and went out into the entrance of the cave, and behold, a voice came to him. Finally, God spoke. I think this story is very interesting to me right now because sometimes we can feel very alone, sometimes we can feel very afraid, and sometimes we can isolate ourselves. And when we do that, oftentimes we feel like we're in this battle alone, and it's very easy to do these things. And so we want God to speak to us, and so we expect that he's going to speak in the wind, in the fire, and the earthquake. But I want to challenge you today that we sometimes need to slow down enough because God's trying to speak to you, and God's been with you the whole time. He's just trying to speak to you in a gentle whisper. Will you listen for that gentle whisper today?